load in. Okay, there we go. So welcome everyone to the 9B matchup for our Autumn Championship thing. We have some decent carbon over there, some decent carbon over there. That's actually a pretty nice spot. There's not much aluminum nearby. Aluminum's going to be a big problem. One extremely isolated over there. No one's going to want to be in that area. This area is a bit more usable. This whole sector of the map is pretty desolate. There's this nice little chunk of stuff, but there's nothing to work with besides that. Okay, DT taking this expansive, perfectly reasonable. I am interested to see what everyone else is going to do. Probably expect to see one scavenger in that area. But aluminum. Okay, Game Slayer chose scavenger in that area instead. You're going expansive down here. HQ1 reactor is an interesting play. I guess it sort of works because steel started halved, but okay, you canceled out of it. It just feels like too expensive a building to be going for on HQ1. Double aluminum makes a bit more sense. Aluminum was expensive. It lets him get stuff done. Really hope he's so... Okay, he's not in much aluminum. Good. Up to HQ2 now. And let's see, Terror Incognita, very standard robot start. Is he reaching out for that aluminum? No, he is not. Going for this one instead. I don't know. The shipping distances are comparable. Maybe I would prefer to see that one, but this one, no, I don't have much to recommend that one. I guess as a robot you don't need quite so much aluminum. Maybe you save quite a bit more on shipping when you consider that you're shipping less as well. Game Slayer going for level 2 glass. What is the colony doing? The colony is chems, a tiny bit of glass. I don't think DT probably did see the silicon quarry, but it's going to take a while to start shipping in. In the meantime, he sits on this nice stockpile, makes a tiny bit of money while these are consuming glass, and costs Game Slayer a tiny bit. And also Game Slayer will be at a deficit anyway, minus 0.5 there, so just a nice little play by DT. Very standard little steel triangle. Food and fuel. Those are going to be big things soon. Terra Incognita just moving into a lot of steel. I'm not sure that was the right move. Steel, again, started cheap. A lot of people in steel. So this is kind of not a very profitable move. He probably is okay anyway. He's not too bothered by the high aluminum price. Electronics aren't too expensive, so he can push through to 3 without too many issues. But it's just maybe not the best move. Okay, DT going into a whole bunch of electrolysis there. I'm not sure I like that as opposed to going for food. Profits are probably comparable. No, food is much better. But yeah, power is going to be a problem with that. This tile's getting auctioned. Game Slayer gets it for way too cheap. Game Slayer does not have access to aluminum yet. That gives him some extraordinarily far, so it's going to be painful to ship. But anyone could have used that for power, and well, I guess power isn't very cheap to put down. Silicon and carbon both at around the $30 mark. One thing I should also mention about the reactor decision, you see fuel tanking like that. Someone was playing with the fuel price, so that probably affected DT's decision. Okay, so power. Power's still creeping up. Terra Incognita has no power still. It is a huge concern. He's shipping a lot of stuff quite far. One thing you see from Terra Incognita fairly often, these early carbon claims, they're not doing all that much for him in the moment. I'm not sure what his long-term plans are for carbon, but it's a claim I don't think he can afford to use like that. Especially since he has all this dry ice near him, carbon's just not that big a concern. Either way, he still is the first to 4. Being a robot helps with that. Cheap steel helps with that. I really hope to see some power come out of him. He has a lot of silicon secured. I think he's probably going for some solar. DT, boosted, Rune Geo. One of the nicest little plays you can make. Very cheap, very safe, and get a lot done with it. Urine doing the same thing over here. So it might just be far too late for Terra Incognita to get into power, which, I mean, he's not suffering too badly on debt. He was late to found. He didn't have to deal with the high food and fuel prices, but he still is in that B. Not where you really want to be. Game Slayer, on the other hand, making power money, making quite a bit, well, not that much. 500 a second, still very solid at this point of the game. Surprised no one has attacked him yet, but I guess everyone's too busy boosting out their power. And take the upgrade. We have a bunch of players on 4 now. ET getting frozen out there. This water claim from Terra Incognita is also a bit unfortunate. Having that 1 water per second isn't going to do much for him. And, I mean, he could have done something like, instead of this carbon claim, a 2nd water claim, which blocks off DT effectively and guarantees that bit of water. So just little things. This is quite a lot for a claim, but Urand has very little debt. He's not going to be making power money, so he can afford to do that. Fuel there, food doing great, plenty of water. He's in a nice position. Game Slayer also in a good position. He just was allowed to get away with this power play. And I am a bit concerned about this silicon. I mean, I'm never comfortable taking 2 silicon tiles as a scavenger. We have a lot of silicon production on the map. Terra Incognita with that 3 per second, DT with that 2. And Urand also getting its silicon. I think this is a big mistake. Once again, if we look at the map, there's a lot of silicon that people are committed to. This is just going to be unnecessary. Glass is already pretty weak. There's not going to be that much demand for silicon going forward. But Urand does like his silicon-based hacking plays, so maybe you just couldn't resist. And there's the hack array coming down. It will probably be a glass hack. We have two patent labs, one going for VR. That's going to be very nice with 2 expansives and a scavenger. He already has this very nice pleasure dome down. That's going to get even better very quickly. What is Game Slayer doing? Thinking machines. The off-worlds are solid, not great. Food up at 490 is pretty decent, especially on early Soul 4. If players get the food price under control, which will probably happen after this dust storm, then off-worlds are going to be great. So, also a solid move. Is anyone in chems yet? Well, yes, Game Slayer's in a bit of chems. But chems are super high, and there really isn't enough production. Okay. In part, that's because Terra Incognita is frozen out quite so heavily. He was the first to 5. He has been at 5 for a while. He's kind of stuck because of this freeze. It's maybe just a bit of mistakes in building placement, encircling his base so that power surges reach all the way around. There are no EMPs, so yeah. He could have probably shifted buildings just a tiny bit so that they're in 3 separate clusters instead. Wanting to grab the silicon makes that a bit more awkward, and the edge of the map also, but it would have been possible. The Thinking Machines has been secured. Pleasure Dome getting blown up, no big surprise, that was way too good to let live. Carbon scrubbing. Not sure about carbon scrubbing. Decent patent, especially once Game Slayer starts trying to put up off-worlds, then carbon will spike, and that'll be very useful. But on the other hand, you are on dry ice, so maybe you're going to be fine producing plenty of carbon yourself, and you don't need to prioritize that quite so much. I don't know. Financial instruments here, everyone, a lot of people in B debt, that quickly moves into C and then to D if people don't aggressively handle it. Power's climbing, I guess, so there might be opportunities to handle debt, but it's not spiking, so it's hard to say. Actually would like to see Superconductor out of Gameslayer, I think. He's operating on just the 2 wind turbines. That'll get him into a big power surplus and really let him make more power money. If you can see that the power price is rising, he'll know that that's a really good thing. This single farm is all kinds of sad. Not covering his food needs at all. He's still not HQ5, which is also very sad. There's problems all around for Gameslayer. I think this carbon scrubbing in particular seems like a bit of a sidetrack that's unnecessary. On the other hand, we have aluminum at $140 and shorting, so maybe upgrading isn't the right call. Then financial instruments, we're already seeing how big it's going to be, BCD. Year-end has also been sitting at 5 for a while. Let's check in on him. Okay, he replaced his iron with dry ice. That's a nice little move. He's the only one to really try to compete on pleasure domes. Not going to be enough, but it does something, and it's a nice tile in and of itself. If the pleasure dome market ever gets swamped too, he can easily swap it into an off-world, get that nice little launch bonus. 2 off-worlds up, 3 off-worlds up. Man, it's hard to keep track of these things with holograms. Urian's looking really good. Is that 170k? No, actually, no. A lot of that is tied up into the off-world under construction, but I think he's still in the best position. Expansive, even counting for that, he probably has right around the most money. This isn't the most interesting of tiles. I'm guessing Yaren just wants to dump an optimization center there. It'll be a decent little thing, not all that useful, but I'd be very concerned about paying these prices for it because they're so deeply in debt. Okay. Gameslayer is going for Superconductor now. That is something he absolutely needs. No one is doing enough about power. I was talking about how it was starting to rise before, and now it's almost 200. It's on its way back down, but still. Everyone is struggling. Gameslayer has done a good job of noticing the power issue and going for that financial instruments. But he does need to defend himself. We saw what happened last game when everyone piled into him. Terra Incognita got off to an early HQ5. He has an off-world down now. It's not defended, interestingly. No one has noticed it either, though, so that could pay off nicely for him. Was that farm always, no. No, okay. It was a farm before, I think. Anyway, Gameslayer, defend yourself. You have so much cash. Everyone else has cash. Don't let yourself die like this. DT. 2 pleasure domes, and that off-world. If he can control his debt, he is in a good position. Of course, you could say that about any of these players except Gameslayer. Everyone in D debt. Gameslayer upgrading to HQ5. That's probably fine. He still has enough money to defend himself. He really needs to defend himself. No, he doesn't like defending himself quite as much as other players, but it would be so useful. If I were Gameslayer, I would also really be looking to prioritize a second off-world here. Because everyone else is in D debt, I could be pretty confident that I'm going to be untouched. And it looks like that's going to happen. No, that's a solar panel. I mean, Yurand is not in D debt at the moment, but he's going to be riding that line constantly. Everyone is kind of just at the borderline of debt. Yeren definitely has a clear lead, 2 off-worlds, all the cash. And I don't know. At this point, he might just run away with things. He's managed to actually stick and see for much longer than either DT or Terra Incognita, so he has been able to pepper DT with all this black market. In the meantime, if it's just one person attacking him, that's quite a big lead to try to knock down. He might just get away with it. Okay, the second off-world's only just getting built. I haven't actually missed quite as much as I feared. There's just too much going on here. Okay, Game Slayer, you've killed power. Do something useful with these tiles. Wow, that's aggressive. I was saying that he should be aggressive, and this might actually work out very nicely for him, because again, everyone just riding that debt line. But please defend yourself. You have 300k, there's no reason. You don't have 300k, that's mostly the carbon in that off-world. Which, holy smokes. Please sell down this carbon. Other people will be producing carbon. Your end is making a lot of... No, okay, it's nighttime, so maybe not. Okay, so your end going after DT first. That's a perfectly reasonable move. And DT, we pointed out a lot of nice advantages. He has that slant drilling water, he has those pleasure domes, he has 2 off-worlds. I don't know whether or not Yaren knows he has the 2 off-worlds, but he has them. Holy.
The optimization kit is finished and waiting orders.
A lot of money to be made on world too. Huh. So Yaren actually boosted this without having a goon on it, instead of boosting his gooned off world. I'm not sure that makes any sense to me. I think at this point you can reasonably suspect that any boosted tile is going to be an off-world, so this sort of move is just kinda asking for it. Anyway, Yaren well on his way to buying DT. Game Slayer nowhere close to buying Terra Incognita. Shouldn't have really started this fight. Okay, he sold out. So things might still be able to be done here. But they need to start buying into Yaren now. Yaren is about to finish this buy, his stock price will skyrocket, and then it'll just be much harder for either of these players to do anything against him. Terra Incognita paid off quite a bit of debt. I don't know how much of that was power and how much was manual debt payment. But I'm not sure that was the right move for him. Because long term he doesn't have much going for him. He has weak water, he has he has no patents. He has decent optimization going on, but he has very few tiles as well. Terra Incognita going after Game Slayer effectively ends this game. If he doesn't get out right now, then Yaren is not going to lose. Or just that simple. Even with DT doing all this stuff to waste Yaren's money, Yaren still has plenty to finish the buy off.
Launch affirmative. What a payout.
Yeah, this is something DT likes to do sometimes, just buy in, sell out, buy in, sell out.
The black market is
And yeah, if you let yourself get baited into that, keep doing that, then you'll keep delaying the buy, you'll keep losing money. And you just have to finish them off as soon as you can.
Your stock is being sold.
Okay, good.
Optimization center is ready. Time to start improving everything.
Terra Incognita just keeps going after Game Slayer. You can't really finish the buy on Game Slayer, not in any effective sense. I'm pretty sure Game Slayer's out-earning him. The only reason Game Slayer might end up getting bought by Terra Incognita is because he's been going all out after year-end. Yerand will probably be looking to finish that. Terror Incognita might actually finish the Bind Game Slayer. A weird one. Definitely a weird one. Basically, two players being very stubborn about what they're trying to do. Terror wanting to finish that by Game Slayer, knowing that your end is the long-term threat and trying to do something about that. And Terror Incognita might just be a big beneficiary. We'll just have to see. Uran's still in, wow, almost 300,000 in debt. And this buy into Death Tacticus, we were talking about how close it was for a very long time. And just let it keep dragging on, and that debt really built up. It's doing a huge number on his stock price. And it delayed that subsidiary income for a very long time. Okay. GameSlayer finally selling out of Urand to deal with Terra Incognita. It's too late to actually stop the buy, but this might swing the game back into Urand's favor. It's gonna be close. Terra Incognita, oh no. Terra Incognita can finish the buy basically whenever he wants. And then he'll be on roughly even terms with Urand. Urand has such a massive cash advantage though that he just has it. And just pretty mixed up stock play here. They needed to work together to take down Urand. It could have worked out in Terra Incognita's favor to keep doing that as long as Game Slayer wanted to hand Terra Incognita the victory, but if you're not going to be working together, then you're more likely just going to want to spite the person attacking you than to just do what they would want you to do. Anyway, Urand should clean this up any moment. He's almost there. Just 100-something thousand off. So we'll just take a quick look at charts and graphs. Terra Incognita, most off-world sends. Well, most off-world money. Urand doing a lot of hacking as normal, getting a lot of hacking money in. He built up a very large early lead.
The engineers have advanced our production.
Let's look at these power produced and sold numbers. Everyone has enormous deficits. And look at this Game Slayer, 480,000 net on power. Just absurd. So even though he was struggling so badly due to the aluminum situation, he was able to pull back into it. Not quite enough because of all the other stuff that happened, but most of the way there. Let's take a quick look at black market as well. Only 7 from Terra Incognita. That was a lot, just D-dead whole game. DT, a lot of early freezes on those. Yeah. The DT attacked a lot early, developed quite a few debt problems. There were the other issues. He had right. I mean, he had a lot of things going for him, but he was just falling quite too deep into that dead hole because of the attacks. He couldn't quite recover from the early found and issues that went with that.